Weird science
is the revolution.
I'm not even going to make any sort of illusions of anything, but it stinks. It's terrible. It never should have been. It felt like an afterthought to everybody involved, including David Pepose. The only thing I can say is the art is okay.
Yeah.
That's my nice thing I'll say at the beginning. You know, David Wachter, okay, did a pretty good job. Everything else sucked. But here we go. Punisher number 4, it is the finale. Though at the end, it's like, ooh, the Punisher will keep on riding on. I'm like, ride right off a cliff. Written by David Pepose, art by Dave Wachter, colors by Dan Brown, letters by VC's Corey Petit. Now, I'll give, not credit, but I'll explain why I don't get as angry, because I'll still get angry. But David Pepose, he was fighting an uphill battle. You know, he comes in on a book. 99.9% of the readers want anybody but Frank Castle is not going to work for them. They're not going to like it, right? So you have to do more. You have to end up giving people a reason to like Joe Garrison. You have to give them a reason to like the story, and he did none of that. And the idea that it feels like this book was canceled, not a regular, here's the thing. Here's what I'll say. If this was the regular 4 issues that were originally, then I'm even more mad. If it ended up getting canceled, I feel bad, but you figure by 4 issues, you should have been able to at least establish one little thing. Establish nothing. This has been a convoluted and cliched story with disjointed progression and pacing, no character work whatsoever, and awful action movie lines just to boot. When you get into this issue, am I mistaken? Am I wrong? Where when you get into this, you end up being told things happen. Like, you get these cliche action movie things, but we don't see them. We're told, like, oh man, that's so AAA, but we don't know AAA. Or, man, they really taught you that in S.H.I.E.L.D., right? We don't know any of that. So by the end of it, you don't know these characters. It's a failure. It's an utter failure. It's so, like, even the Detective Linus, I'm telling you, I didn't even barely know his name before this. I think that if I saw Linus as much as I actually would have laughed, because I remember that because Peanuts. I said at one point you should have, hey, where's Lucy? It would have made me giggle. But yeah, you have this guy and he is on the tail. He's been given a tracker and he's trying to find what would be AAA, who ended up getting kidnapped. In the meantime, we just get thrown into the story with this Jigsaw, which is more the organization than the guy, but the main guy we'll just call Jigsaw. Why? There's no even reason why you could sit there. Oh, I get it. Why they call it Jigsaw. Why? Because it's annoying? Because Jigsaw puzzles to me are annoying. And actually at one point, in my mind, I forgot the name Jigsaw and started calling him like Puzzle Piece. But you end up where all this going on, it just, you have this fear thing. I'm telling you, it's so bad.
You're so flustered, Jim. You're so flustered.
Jigsaw is now going to attack with the fear toxin deal that we had last issue. They're going to attack this embassy to break up this peace accord. We don't care. None of this was ever set up.
This got introduced last issue.
Yeah. And this fear. I love the idea that they think fear toxin would make people pretty much, almost become superhuman, but go directly against one single guy, and that's Joe. When he said, "This is ridiculous. It is so ridiculous." In the meantime, they have AAA, and we're supposed to believe, oh no, they might kill AAA. We don't care. We don't know AAA. We know nothing. And yeah, this embassy with all these old people, they're still old. The one lady looks like she's 70. What's she gonna do? And most people, if they get fear like this, they would probably run away and jump out a window. But none of this story makes sense issue to issue. It's just thrown at you. Now you tell me what you thought.
All right, I'm going to rewind just for a second, just to basically recap what my thoughts are up to this point. All right, we start off with Linus talking to his dead partner in spirit, and we freaking get him being like, your widow, she really wants us to get revenge, and it's like, well, Fearmaster's dead. She's the one who killed your partner. That'll make sense. That'll make sense. Okay.
We don't even know these guys. So you can't feel bad for anybody and say, I told your wife what happened. She didn't even cry. She's such a trooper. She just said kill people. I'm like, that lady's nuts. And then I told her, well, that person died, so I guess no fuss, no muss. And then I asked her out for a date. none of it would matter.
Okay, then we go to the freaking embassy thing, wherever, and Jigsaw, the leader over, he's like, they're here to talk peace, but peace is just another word for bad business, wouldn't you say? So what, are these guys armed dealers or something? Like, what? We don't really know what this group is. Are they like domestic terrorists?
Everything's
they
a cliche and a trope. That's all it is. So, and the dialogue, like you just read, is just so eye-rolling bad. And that's where Joe comes flying through the window on a motorcycle, which should be cool. It's not. Jigsaw keeps yelling, "You're the Punisher. You're the Punisher." And again, nobody wants this guy as the Punisher. And at one point, I thought, okay, what you're going to do here, you did no character work. So David Pepos thinking this character is going to continue ever is a joke. You can't have him at one point then say, "You're right, I am the Punisher." You just failed. This should have been a book where, hey, people might be mad he's not the Punisher. By the end, have him admit, hey, I never wanted to be the Punisher, but I think I'm pretty cool myself. I can go and maybe something. I don't know. I actually expected Jigsaw to take off two things because it's so convoluted. Jigsaw takes off his mask and he's like out of nowhere. "Oh no, my dead brother." Like shit like that. I don't even care about Kirsten now. Or he takes off the mask. "Holy crap, it's Frank Castle." Like, this sucks. So he comes in and he's just firing away. And then everybody's just, "We're going to kill you," including the old lady with the pearls who suddenly is hulked out. And he tries to explain that it's because of their adrenaline. I'm like, no, they're still old. And so this is where I got that idea of some cool things, but we never saw them. So he's going to throw these in this last issue. They can't hit because we don't know, where he's like, "Yeah, when I was in S.H.I.E.L.D., I had these electrified anti-personnel batons. AAA called them stun chucks." I'm like, all right, stun chucks. I'm like, all right, that's
all right.
Okay. That might be one of the better things you've done. But then with electrified nunchucks, he's going to attack old people who are in this and then say, "Takes a lot of effort not to kill people and just to incapacitate them." There's no way he's hitting these people.
Hips.
Life Alert has just shut down. They're like, "Holy crap, everybody has fallen. They can't get up. We have problems here." The one guy just like roundhouse kicks. That guy's got to be dead.
There goes my dentures.
Get the sprinklers go, and then he ends up electrifying them all. They're dead. They have to be dead. And then there's the Jigsaw guys, and they just kind of come and they're about to kill him. And that's where we go off to AAA. Again, AAA, who we barely know. I mean, I don't know the main character, Joe. I couldn't tell you crap. The thing I could tell you is his family got killed. It seems convolutedly by this Jigsaw organization, but who knows? And then he was happy that it wasn't because of him when he found out it was his wife's fault. So I don't care about AAA. I don't know AAA.
I don't even know their real name.
And I love where she's there and she's got her arms tied behind the chair and she's going to do the James Bond, Batman, all that stuff where she has this lighter. To not have it matter. Like, you see this, it doesn't matter. The cop who should not be working right now because he's on leave now kills a guy, comes in and says, "Hey, it's me, Detective Paul Linus, NYPD. We have a mutual acquaintance." And then she goes, "Hey, give me that device that Joe gave you. I'm going to spend no time at all. And now I can go and, crack into all the security to then set out a crazy earpiece screech that ends up making them all just fall over."
That's another weird thing. I just got to mention it because literally at the end where we're listening to like the news report on it is like, "Oh, all the perpetrators are dead. So did this feedback kill them?"
Yeah, the feedback killed him. The feedback it probably upset David Pepos from this book because it sucks. But this killed the feedback. Yeah, she killed them all. They're all bleeding out the ears. And I love when he's like, "Classic AAA, vintage." I'm like, everything is me saying, "If you say so." Because then, luckily for us, because this is such a hoot, the main Jigsaw, he doesn't get affected. So he's running away.
Why doesn't he get affected?
I don't know.
He should be on their comms. He's the one giving them orders. He should be on the comms.
Yeah. Again, I thought it was going to be something revealed. It's his dead brother.
It's the dead cop.
So, oh my God, it's my brother that we thought died in the line of duty. But yeah, they go and they're just going to start fighting also so that you can have the fight be kind of hand to hand, but not. You end up where Jigsaw says Scorpio 919 Bravo, which locks down all of the SHIELD ordinances that he has. The guns are locked down. Everything's locked down. Seems odd to still have that in.
I know. I was going to say, why do you still have that?
AAA would have gotten rid of that immediately if vintage AAA doesn't do the right. So it's just to get this, mano-a-mano deal, kind of. But
he still gets shot.
He gets shot a bunch of times. I mean, I guess if you're going to be Jigsaw, why do you don't have to throw your gun down? But now they're just going to fight. And you just have, things where, again, they're mentioned. Oh, man, SHIELD really taught you. All right.
All right.
Say so. Yeah, your wife, if she knew what was happening, the kids, we didn't know them. We never met them. They were dead. All right. So at one point he realizes, wait a minute. I'm thinking about those kids, and I kind of am like the Punisher because David Pepose is kind of lame. So I think what I'm going to do is call me the Punisher. And then starts fighting. Immediately when he says, I am the Punisher, now he can beat the crap out of everybody. You have this guy, Jigsaw, he falls out, they jump out the window. Everybody gets thrown out a window in this book and ends up getting impaled on this crazy avant-garde structure. With this guy gets impaled, he should be dead. Nope, he's still talking trash. I mean, this guy is talking more after he got impaled than he was before. And he was talking a lot before. I think at this point, you're waiting for that lame deal of like Hydra. Cut off one head to go. I'm waiting for the stupid, like, cliched thing about Jigsaw. You're like, hey, you want to play a game? Something like that. It doesn't happen. So they end up, he's like, you think you really won? And then Joe goes, no, but it's a start. And then murders this guy. What's the next step? Okay, you just started. What are you doing next? Nobody cares about you. So, yeah, then he goes and it gets even better because now you're trying to set up, if it would continue, pretty much a lethal weapon deal with Detective Linus. And the way this is set up, Linus, he's in a diner. How many days has he been in this diner? Because he didn't say anything to Joe. Joe just ends up going there and says, I figured you'd be here. Because this is where me and my wife had our first date. And I figured you would have learned that. Set it up better.
You know what could have been cool if they went to that freaking place where him and his kids were at or whatever. Something like that. You could have had something like in the wreckage where it's like, oh, hey, there's a family picture of them there. And guess what? There's Joe lying low.
Nah, no. Joe finds him by saying, I knew that you looked into things. Like, all right. I'm telling you, somewhere in the world right now, there's a poor detective that thinks that he's doing the same thing. He's been at the diner for 6 months. But yeah, he's like, hey, did you bring it? And it's the files, I guess, of the bad people. But yeah, then it's like, hey, but people are after you. I thought that Linus would be the one who would say, hey, I kind of finagled it so that you're not in trouble. But no, AAA was able to say that, she ended up hacking and Joe Garrison is dead. He's deceased.
He died at the embassy, but why was he at the embassy? Somebody else is going to ask why was he there.
You could have done this. The minute that the family died, you could have just said he died. He's like, hey, Joe, what are you going to do now? The whole thing has led to this, where he says, hey, this is insane. You know that, right? Me for helping you. And you thinking you'll live long enough to stop them all. Maybe, Linus. Maybe not, but as long as there are innocents who need avenging, right away you already failed. The Punisher will never die. And then he goes off. I'm like, that is not a great ending. You have to end with the word Punisher. I'm just saying, if you end up, or punishment, it has to end with that. Right? I'm like, I wish he was like, hey, listen here, I'll be frank with you, but a castle needs a Punisher, and then you're done. You're like, oh, look at him.
There's still people who need to be punished.
It's so bad. Or, hey, Linus, how's Lucy? That's what I would have said. It's just bad. But what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a Forget You 5.
Yeah, Forget You 5. I'm giving it a 2. I would love to give it a Forget You 5, but I think that would seem too positive. This is a failure, and this is where I want to, again, I talk about this a lot, but this book failed. Yes, part of the failure was people want Frank Castle as Punisher and they don't want a replacement. But it failed beyond that. It failed every other step of the way. You never, if you want to win people over and show them there could be another Punisher, you didn't do it. You never established the character. You had, right away, I said there was trouble when his family blows up and it's basically just redoing Frank Castle's, oh, my wife and 2 kids died. We didn't know them. You had a flashback later, but it was too late. You needed to have at least an issue where at least we saw these kids and they're nice. Kel, there's this wife. Oh, she loves him. He has this secret life from S.H.I.E.L.D., but what is he going to do? You never did that. You just had the place blow up. And then at one point you had Linus and his partner just keep going on and on, did nothing. We never really got this idea that we care that he died and his wife. We don't know them. And then AAA just is there to be a device to get kidnapped for no reason at all because it just got solved. This book sucked. It sucked in so many ways. Like I said them before, pacing, character, all that nonsense. Yeah.
Weird Science
is the revolution.